What do you think you've learned about yourself that has been most pivotal?
A lot. That's what I'm thinking. You're like, oh, she doesn't have much. Oh, she has a lot. As a therapist, I always thought I was extremely, extremely empathic. But man, I have low patience for people that can't get the job the first time. That is rude, basically, because people learn in different ways. When I found that I was not really empathic, that's pivotal to be like patience and learning styles and repetition and chief repeating officer and please have some patience and empathy. So
Okay, so we are here with Jess. I just love her and her family and her husband and their gym. I don't even know you call it a gym. You don't call it a gym.
I know, right? Some people say that and they're like, wait, no, this is like a wellness sanctuary with some fitness.
Ooh, I like that wellness sanctuary.
I do too. When I heard that, I thought, I'm going to keep that.
Let's just tell people what she does. And I will say, I feel like it's a wellness sanctuary when we come and we just feel like our nervous systems get reset and rooted and grounded every time we come. So tell me, share what it is and why it works so well.
It is my dream. It's my dream. I say dream business, but what we're doing for people. Sometimes the back end, I'm like, oh gosh, that was really hard. But the actual what we do for people brings me back to continue to do the hard stuff that come with it. So Generator, we're 3 pillars, all science-backed. We have semi-private personal training. We have therapeutic results-driven massage, and we have a science-backed. What we're most known for is the protocol. And it combines infrared sauna, contrast, hot and cold plunge pools, Normatec compression, vibration, and red light therapy to do exactly what you said: ground, reset, elevate, feel good hormones equivalent to antidepressant drugs, elevate dopamine equivalent to cocaine, decrease inflammation. It's insane. You leave completely reset with a completely detoxed lymphatic system. And it's in a sequence, and we don't separate the modalities. It has to be done in this particular order to get the maximum benefits. And that, I tell you, is what keeps me doing it. Is just, even this morning I had a meeting up there and there was a longtime member. He did not know who I was, but he was just talking about, I'm addicted to it and I can't live without it. I am so much happier. I'm clearer. And I'm so grateful to have this. He was talking to another member. I just love when I hear it. I'm like,
Jess, you're like a legal drug dealer then.
Yes.
You are.
Yeah, like a wellness. Like at that wellness, it's like a wellness drug. It's wow. Yeah, that's what I need to coin. Wellness drugs.
So the place is called Generator Lab and it's in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
And when we go in, what we do is we sit in the infrared sauna for like 30 minutes. And then we do the cold bath.
Yep.
Hot, cold, hot, dunk your head. Then you do the lymphatic pressure
compression.
Compression.
Yes.
And then we go over and we get like acai bowls or something else afterwards. And we feel like $1 million every time we go in there.
Thank you. Yes. That makes me so happy. Yes. That's it. That's right.
Yeah. And I want to dive into kind of the other aspect of it. So that's what that's what your business does in service to the clients. And then I want to talk about the entrepreneurial journey that got you to becoming a legal drug dealer. So you have a very cool story from meeting your husband, your doctor, your journey into it. So what was that like for you? Like, when did you know you were going to be an entrepreneur? When did you know that you were going to be able to serve people in this way?
Yeah. Thank you so much. I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. My dad always pegged it for me. He was like, you're going to own your own business. And I was like, well, why would I do that? As a 20-something-year-old, I thought, no, I'm having such a fun time learning. So my background is in physical therapy. I got my PhD from Boston University in physical therapy. And I've been a pro. I was a professional triathlete and runner for many years. So combining, I would travel for races and I would also travel to follow the best mentors. I could not wait to learn all of the best manual techniques. I love to work with my hands. I would fix people with my hands. And for me, opening my own business, I thought, no way, in my 20s, are you kidding? But interestingly enough, when I also would always have a side hustle. So I started a little personal training business, not thinking that was like sort of an entrepreneur brain. So during college, I would have a little side hustle and then I would have this side hustle. But yeah, I just didn't think about that till later on. That, okay, that's where that brain was always the thinking. And so I'm following all these mentors, I'm learning all the best practices. And then I remember the pivotal moment when I first opened up my larger business. It was physical therapy business, primarily focused on manual therapy. What pushed me to do that was I was so frustrated with the whole healthcare system as a whole. They would limit the amount of sessions you could see a client. They restricted payment for them. It was just really interesting, that whole dynamic. So I said, you know what? I'm going to open up a clinic that it will be affordable healthcare for these people, but we don't have to mess with their insurance. If they want to redeem it or get reimbursed, they can. And most of the time they would, but there was no red tape around it. And so I truly started realizing and learning. And I think I've known this since I was 12. I think stories of how I feel like I'm on this earth to help people. I truly like believe that in my core, that that is my purpose. And that is why I do frequently like go back up and pull in. And I ask, I'm like, this is getting really, really hard. I heard you, you sure this is what you want me to do? Like every time something would get really hard, I'm have to like reconnect.
Yeah.
So as I'm in my clinic and I'm treating and I'm working, and I have other practitioners, but they weren't getting as busy. People were waiting for me. I thought, well, this is not really helping more people. How can I help more people? So truthfully, I kept going back to that same question. How can I help more people? How can I serve? How can I serve more than one person an hour? And then I'm researching, and I would tell my clients, okay, go home, ice that, no heat that, no contrast that, put some compression socks on. I would get, and then in 2016, I woke up one day and I was like, there should be a place that offers all of these things that I tell people to do.
Yeah.
It literally came from that. If anybody even cares, I don't know that half our members even know the story, but truthfully, I thought, how can I personally serve more people in my sort of my core competency, if you will, right? Like this is, I don't know a lot, but I do know this and I researched this and I love it. And I love how it translates into really, really, really helping people, not just physically, but mentally. There's that mental mind body.
Yeah.
So that is the genesis story of Generator.
Yes.
So in 2016, I was like, I had this idea. Long story short, it took 2 years. I found the space at Sea Home in Austin. I had to have it, which is a whole nother story. Had to go to City Hall to present my case to the city manager and the mayor at the time. Anyway, because I just knew I had to have it there. There was something
So
about
you're an amazing salesperson then, because you got the city. Yes.
Went to the city. I was like, I have the best thing. I had it in my deck. I said, I'm going to bring the wellness community together. I'm going to bring Austin together of all types. Anybody that wants to feel better, they're going to come to my community space. And they were like, that's just about crazy enough to work, isn't it? So yeah, 2018, we opened up and it's the members that keep me. I don't know when we get to start talking about being vulnerable, but this morning I was like, I told my friend Amy, who's a member, who's awesome. You need to interview her. I go, girl, if this was a job, I'd have quit today. Can I quit? She's like, you're so funny. I'm like, I'm not funny. I'm being serious. It's so hard right now.
What? Okay, so let's have this conversation because I've had several guests on who've said, I wish I could quit. I just can't quit.
I said that today. I was like, I think I'm done.
Yes. And it is hard. Organizing and scaling businesses, building a business is hard. You're continually, Alex Hormozi said this, you're continually encountering problems that you've never encountered before. And you have a ticking time bomb in solving it. So you're like under these perpetual urgent activities all the time.
Urgent. all the time.
A good thing you live in a wellness sanctuary.
That's so true. I use my modalities to not like want to just run away.
Yeah. No, but I genuinely, it's hard. It's really, really hard. And it's hard to quit because a lot of times we are inadvertent entrepreneurs. We became entrepreneurs because we loved helping people. And so then if we
Solving a
quit,
problem.
yes, we're solving a problem. And then if we quit, we're quitting solving problems and we're quitting helping people. But we can't do that because then our soul would die.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I know our souls, yours and my souls would die.
Mhm. Yeah.
It is in our DNA
Yeah.
to do this, to do what we do.
So I'm curious, when you have these moments where you feel like it's hard, you're beating your head against a brick wall, it's things are not going well. How do you like root yourself or ground yourself and recenter so that you can get up and really bring all of your mental faculties to the challenge in front of you so you can solve it?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. I've started incorporating savers, the miracle morning.
Yes.
Savers. Yeah. So savers, I can explain it to the listeners. Savers is the acronym. It starts with in the morning. I do it in the morning. And I won't even, it's almost like after I did savers, I'm gonna throw the towel in. No, I'm just kidding. I know what I need to do. I did it. I did that today after I did savers, but I knew I was like, I know what to do.
Yeah.
I do have to reset every day because let me tell you, 6 months ago, and that's why I'm glad we're talking about it. There are highs.
Mm.
I have to be very careful celebrating too much because I know it's seasonal, not really winter and spring, but like literally businesses are seasonal and not the actual seasons. Like the market, you just never know what's happening. So there's going to be a dip. And so those are things I remind myself as I finish talking about savers. So I start the day with silence and I immediately move into affirmations, the A part of savers. I know I'm capable. I know I'm strong. I know I'm meant to do this because I constantly ask and get reaffirmation. Yep. Okay. Got it. On it. I'm doing your will. I know what I'm doing. And then the B is then I vision. So in that particular moment, what are you struggling with? Hey, Jess, by the way, what did you screw up on to create that? Because a lot of times it's my screw up. A lot of times, why'd that happen? That was me. That was me. That was a bad hire. Who's that on? Hey, you didn't hold that person accountable. You didn't go through the 30, 60, 90. You dropped the ball on that. So I go, Jess, what are you doing? So then I vision. And I go, that was on you. Okay. Now we vision, and is it a person that we need on the team? Are we visioning a better hiring practice? Are we visioning, hey, don't skip that step. You put that step in that process for a reason. So that visioning really, really, really helps too. E is exercise. So depending on like if my adrenals are just maxed out, which they have been the last 6 months, I do more like a Pilates, a yoga flow. I love. And then the R is reading and S is scribing. So reading and writing. I do that in a little more of a gentle approach. So what I do after I exercise, I go into the sauna, which is right here. I do an audio book and then I'll jot. It doesn't have to be the audio book. I'll just jot some thoughts down and then I end it. I have to do cold. So I have to do the protocol. So I have to do cold. I just have to. So I cold every day. But especially during tough times. And then I'm like, oh, okay. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yes.
But it's every day.
It is. It is every day.
Sometimes more than once. Stick my head under cold water. Okay, we're back.
I'm a totally different person now.
Okay, we're good. Is everybody good? I'm good. Because, it comes from the top. It's not just like you're meeting with your one key person. Like the whole team can feel if you're not right. Or I know my team feels.
Yes, no. So I think what you're hitting on, and I say this often, is you can't organize and scale your business unless you organize and scale yourself. And what it is basically companies are a bunch of individuals that are communities. And then you have a bunch of people who have to regulate their nervous system in order to perform the tasks that you're asking them to do. And so as a leader of an organization with a bunch of people who all have their own unique stories and narratives and nervous systems and struggles and challenges outside of work, that they need to come in, and not only does the environment need to feel like a sanctuary, but the emotional environment has to feel like a sanctuary. And there's physical hygiene, emotional hygiene, all of that, mental hygiene that has to come into a work environment. And it is a reflection of the leader. And so when we find that we're like, we don't know why this is dysregulated in this workflow, or this person is behaving this way, or this is happening, sometimes it's the environment we're creating as leaders. And then that's the hard look in the mirror that you're talking about that is brutal. And sometimes we don't want to look. And I know many times in my business career, I haven't faced some of those hard truths. And the more I face the hard truths, the better my business is. So how do you, like, when you have to look in the mirror and say, ooh, that's ugly about me, I don't like that, I need to work on it? I have found community, like 5% communities, are really helpful for that.
Yes, I was about to say that.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say forum,
Yes.
but also my sauna talks with my high level female friends.
Yes.
Hanging around with other high level female friends. There's so much, and I don't want to just say dump, because I do feel like a lot of times it is, but we're helping and we're experience sharing.
Yes.
And maybe she'll say something about how one of her peers responded to somebody else that didn't lead with EQ and didn't lead with empathy, and circled it back to, and I think, okay, that's good, I've been working on that, okay, so I won't do that. So it's a lot of putting yourself in their shoes and then learning to not do that. So that, to your point, is community with like-minded people. Other people do not understand, and it is such a great thing to own a business, because I'd have never known a lot of things about myself had I not put myself on the cliff's edge on a daily.
Yeah.
Because that can really bring out the worst in you. And it does. And then you're like, okay, whoa, where'd that come from? That was an old trigger.
Yes. What do you think you've learned about yourself that has been most pivotal?
Pivotal. Okay. A lot. That's what I'm thinking. You're like, oh, she doesn't have much. Oh, she has a lot. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, so many, but the nice pivotal one. And as a therapist, I always thought I was extremely, extremely empathic. But man, I have low patience for people that can't get the job the first time. That is rude, basically, because people learn in different ways.
Yes.
People don't always learn by they're going to see it the first time. They have to see it, they have to hear it, they have to do it. Guess what? They have to do that 7 more times. There has been no empathy in me. I'm like, why are you not can you just get that? That is not good. When I found that I was not really empathic, and I had such a low tolerance, because let me tell you something. Guess what? Put me in any other field, I'm not going to know what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm completely incompetent. How is it that I'm not bringing that level of empathy to my team? How rude. They can teach me 12 other things, and I would be like, can you show me 14 more times?
Yeah.
So that's pivotal, to be like patience and learning styles and repetition and chief repeating officer, and please have some patience and empathy. So that's a big one.
That is mine too. It's been like, I feel like I have had to learn how to integrate within myself my alpha and my empathy, because my alpha is like, get it the first time. Like, I don't understand. This is common sense. Like, totally. And then it's not common sense. And in any other environment, I would be incompetent too. So
yes.
Not the narrative I was having around it wasn't serving my company or me or my people. But learning to be patient, you learn it by biting your tongue, or just like go put your head in the cold plunge.
Cold plunge. Take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
So absolutely true. And to your point, I would be incompetent anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And people have so many different styles of learning,
Yes.
right? There's so many different styles of learning.
Yeah.
And just knowing that and understanding that and having that patience, to your point, patience bite your tongue, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding and putting myself in their shoes, that they have different areas of expertise,
Yes.
that this may need a little more time, has
Yeah.
been really pivotal for me.
Have you also learned that you're not good at everything?
Oh God, yes. 100% yes. I'm not good at a lot of things. That's why one of our core values is experts, because
Mm.
I would be terrible at everything that they do. I can't say terrible, right? Because I have a manual therapist background, I have a training background, but like managers, they have to have a lot of patience to just take their time and learn you and really want to develop you. And I have to work on that level of patience with me. So, and then the technical side, I'm digging through, and I'm
Yeah.
okay. I'm going to get app friendly and figure that out. All huge learning curve
Yes.
opening this business,
Yeah.
huge learning curve, and a lot of I've learned a lot, which
Yeah.
is super cool.
Is one of your values learning? Personal
You know,
value.
thank you for saying that. We call ourselves a learning organization, but it's
Oh, okay.
not one of our core values. So that is what draws people. And when they leave, when they exit, part of their exit interview, the number one thing that we hear is that we have helped them develop their skills to grow and learn, and a lot of times open up their own businesses, which
Oh,
is one of the
wow.
things that we pride ourselves in. We are a learning organization, but
Yeah,
it's not one of our core values.
that's okay. I mean, you're embodying it, right? It's like
Yeah.
almost like a lifelong journey of learning and evolving, and that's just kind of the human condition, but you're
Yes.
creating an environment for it.
Yes. Yes, we
Mhm.
love that. That's funny that you said
Mhm.
that. Yes,
Mhm.
I love that teaching part. That's one of my passions, is
Mhm.
teaching. So I love that part of it.
I want to switch gears a little bit, and you're a mom of three amazing, adorable, best personality kids,
You're so sweet. Thank
and
you.
you
Girl,
have a wonderful husband,
I do.
and you have to play all the roles. You know, you're the entrepreneur, you're the wife, you're the mother, you're the camp counselor, you're the therapist, you're all of these things. And how do you navigate
Sometimes terribly.
that?
So just yesterday, I was like, worst mom ever award. Because I frequently say, you know what? Why I said that? Mom, you promised me that you would have lunch with me next Thursday. It's next Thursday. Yesterday. I was like, yeah, I overbooked that. So I ask for a lot of
Mm.
forgiveness and grace, like a lot. And I think them seeing me their whole lives. I started my physical therapy business pregnant with my 13-year-old. Their whole lives, I've
Yeah,
been an entrepreneur
yeah,
with several businesses.
yeah.
So I do have to watch my mental, like when the stress really builds up. Here's what I do. Honestly, when I see them, I light up. I'm like, they're my favorite people.
Mhm.
If I see them, I'm like, oh my God, I love this. This is great. And then what's really great is we navigate conversations. Like, how was your day? You know, mine was a little rough, but everything's gonna be okay, right? We're
Mhm.
gonna navigate this. And I hear my children speak to their friends like we practice in good strategy to speak to our teams, like
Yeah.
having empathy, having crucial conversations. We go over Joseph Granny, having crucial conversations. So I honestly think I'm going to say I integrate it all. I mean, they
Mhm.
know it's my life, right? They know my passions, they know my life, they know some struggles, they know some wins, they
Mhm.
understand certain challenges. They are huge empaths. They get
Mhm.
extremely upset if there's a team member that's leaving.
Oh,
They're like, Mom, the baby was like, Mom, do you just think he needed a little bit more time to learn? And she the whole way to soccer the other day, because that's I'm struggling with some team right now,
yeah.
not finding the right manager. And she's like, but Mom, did you give him enough time? And you remember how we talked about conversation? She's 7. And I said, that's a good point. They actually bring up good points.
Yes.
And I said, that's right. We did talk about that. this is a little bit more of a skill issue. If I have to like speak high level, I find myself talking super high level to my 7-year-old. So I think, talking a lot about it because I love my kids. I think it's like meshed all together.
God, your 7-year-old is so freaking adorable. She is like, oh my gosh. I want to make one of you. You're just like a sweetheart. You are an amazing mom. And I've seen you with your
Thank you.
kids. And I think that you model vulnerability with them. And I was talking with some entrepreneurs the other day saying how important it is to apologize to your kids and to tell them that I made a mistake, because you're modeling failing is an okay thing, and holding space for that journey. I feel like you do that really well. And even your kids have so much confidence, I think, because of how you're parenting them. And you're in the health and wellness field. And I think one of the things that you've done well is even their relationship with food. Because I think sometimes people don't have the right relationship, and you've done that well.
Thank you. Thank you. I thought about that early on, not even from readings. I think some more observation. But thank you for saying that. Yes, truthfully, I do agree that if you restrict too much, there could be some type of stigma, especially for the girls, and even a lack of enjoyment. But like I said, we circle back. I'll have a friend that have had my 7-year-old over and said, your 7-year-old ate all the celery in my house, and yes, had a cookie, but really went back for the celery. But it's not from anything in particular, any kind of speech I've had with them. Well, we do talk about, is that nourishing your body? Cool. I mean, great. Awesome. If we're not doing it for that purpose, go at it. And then also when they start eating more healthy food, they're drawn to more healthy foods. They understand it makes them feel better. So I think that's how I grew up too. It was, my parents were a little strict around it, but there was just more explanation around feeling your body.
The reason why I bring it up is I feel like some of the biggest mistakes I've made in business is not listening to my intuition. And I think some of what you're doing with your kids is teaching them to listen to their intuition.
Yeah, definitely.
Because is this feel good or does this not feel good? And so I'm curious for you, like, how much of your intuition is involved in your business?
A lot. How did you know? I am a feel. 100%. I have to feel. That's right. That's a good observation, Staci. Thank you. I do tell my kids, listen to your bodies. What are your bodies telling you? What is your body? More difficult with my son. I'll be completely transparent. He has very much difficulty. Like, he knows he's sick, but he doesn't know he's sick. Right. And because I'm not like run to the doctor, I'm not. Right. Yeah. We just kind of feel, we hydrate, we'll nasal rinse, we do all the things, the salt water, gargle that, and let's do a little elder bit. Right. We very holistic. But I'm like, son, you really have to get in there. Tell me, is it like, are you sick? How are you? And because they are like, no, it's just a little, he's a little more difficult for me because he has a little bit more difficult of a time having that mind body connection of feeling. So that's interesting. Yes, I'm a feeler.
So in your business, have you violated your intuition?
Yes. And I think that's, I have had bad hires.
Well, tell me what that's like, because I've done the same thing. And I'm like, how do you know what is your fear? Like, you're making a decision out of fear, or it's intuition? Like, how do you navigate that in yourself?
Well, I'll know right away. 6 months ago, when we lost our real rock star manager, she was just my partner. We made a lot of decisions together. She was just my integrator, my implementer. She just was fantastic. So had a ton of trust in her. And since I've not had her, I've been hanging out outside of a helicopter without a parachute. So that's why I have to really, really set myself. So I've been basically just living in fear, because I'm like, is that the right hire? Are we doing the system? Are they doing the system? Is that experience how everything is like rocking me right now? So I think that's why I've not been I've already gone through a couple of managers that were not the right fit.
Yeah.
because I'm like, I need a manager. I need a manager.
Yeah.
Not trusting my intuition.
Yeah.
That's what that looks like. That
Yeah.
looks like a shit show. You asked what it looked like.
Okay. Basically, when we listen to our intuition, it is like, oh, zen, amazing. And then if we do not listen to our intuition, a complete shit show.
A complete shit show. That's how I am.
I'm the same way.
I think a lot of women are, right?
Yeah. And we're chemical factories every month too. So you add that in on top of it, it's like it's an ordeal. It's a thing. And
it's a thing.
I recently started cycle syncing. Syncing my work to my cycle.
That's genius.
It's amazing. Highly recommend. Because
how do you do that?
So like 0 to 6 days, I do all like reflective work. So I'll do my writing.
The day you're on your period?
Yeah. So the day I start my period, or the day before, I block it on the calendar. So my assistant knows, she blocks out the whole calendar. She'll text me, did you start today? Because it's like clockwork, you know? And so I'll be like, yes. And so she updates the whole calendar, and we only let the calendar open 30 days in advance, because if it's open too far, then I might have something that I don't want to do, which has happened. And then, so the day before, and then like till 6 days, essentially, I try to do primarily like all my writing, all of my what worked, what didn't, my reflection sessions, my clarity breaks, my delegate and elevate, like all of those types of things during that session that are not so camera facing, if I can avoid it. And then after that period, you have a lot of clarity because you've cleansed out everything that isn't working. And so it's from like 6 to 14, I do a ton of planning, like all my project planning, my outcomes, my KPIs, like just more vision casting and organizing and all of that. And then when you're ovulating, I schedule all the recording because you're magnetic and you're high energy and you're all of that. And then the tail end of it, you're a little bit more alpha. So you're like push all your projects over the line. And so you can co-create with it a little bit better. And it has helped me so much because I used to try to be the same person every day, but my chemical factory is not the same every day.
That is genius. I have not heard of that. And that is the most genius thing I've heard in a long time. And I've been to a lot of conferences recently.
Yeah. I would.
It is amazing.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh. I learn something new every day. Of course I do. That's my favorite one.
Yes. I also try not to make decisions during 0 to 6 days. Like I try to push off any big decisions because usually everything feels a little bit overwhelming during that period. It's not as motivating or exciting. And I feel like sometimes I wonder if I'll make the best decision because you're in a state like that.
Yes. Yes. That is some great feedback. That's some great experience share.
Try it.
That's my favorite experience share in a while. Wow. That is genius. Yeah. I try to be the same person every day and we're not.
No.
Chemically, we're not.
No. Yeah. And I think because there's more men in entrepreneurship than there are females in entrepreneurship. And so even like you and I are a part of the entrepreneurs organization, and even inside of there, I think there's only 15% of us are women. The rest are men. And
low.
Yeah, it's low. And I know they're working on changing that. And Austin has become an amazing entrepreneur hub. So, and I'm sure you see that inside of you where you are, because most of your clients are entrepreneurs.
So cool. I'm enamored by our clients. Yeah. Talk about learning something new every day. The clients and members.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's talk about your relationship with your husband in relation to business, because you guys work together as well. And how did you kind of separate roles and responsibilities, own your lanes, navigate that?
Yeah. So, and our origin stories, we met in a nursing home as therapists.
Oh,
I know. In 2005, I was on a travel assignment. Remember, I was telling you I was traveling to learn. And he was coming into the same nursing home at the podunk nursing home ever on Congress and Old Torf. And anyway, that's how we met. And just saw his heart and his passion to help people too, and took him under my wing. I was like, let's travel some more. And we came to Generator's Genesis idea origin story together because he was working in a lymphedema clinic and he was like, I think I know what you're talking about. So that was really cool that he has a very, very similar passion. And boy, people joke, and it's so true. And when I heard this, I said, this is exactly us. We are two sides to a coin. So we are just perfect. And also he's the only person to be able to tolerate me. I'm hard to deal with.
You're like such an amazing person, and you're so humble. I feel like when people hear this, they're gonna be like, "Oh, she's like a therapist." No, she's like a really big entrepreneur in an amazing place, and all of that. Like,
yeah. You're so sweet. Yeah, we quickly found out our strengths. We both test visionary, which is absolutely nuts. But what business needs a full-time visionary? I don't know about yours, but mine doesn't. Mine needs like an occasional visionary and then like an integrator implementer. So I quickly moved into that role. Just because we are GSD, FIO, we figure it out, we get shit done. And that is, and I also love the team, like the operations part of it, like the team and the navigating the meetings. I love all that. And he does jump in on them, but he does all the stuff that stresses me out. Like, I know I need to always know the numbers, and I do because we share them and I'm on the calls too, but he's mainly like touch point for the CFO, and he jumps in on the marketing because we have to be on the same strategy. So that's fortunate. And we do have set a couple of days a week times where we vision and forecast and agree upon certain things. And then the little things that we can just kind of spawn off, we just do that are not big. Because we do find alignment is super important for the team too. So they don't feel like, well, Delvin said this, Dr. Jess said this. So we have found that because we've done that before and the team's like, wait, what? We're like, okay, never doing that again. So we have found our lanes. He also loves the mechanical side of things. So he's the touch point for all of the handyman that we need, which we need a lot for Generator. So he's like the manager of the whole, and it's a lot of different people to manage our equipment. He's that touch point, and the team goes to him for stuff too, of course, but it is sort of, as far as team goes, they obviously they go to their managers, but they always feel very comfortable coming to me too. I just love that part of it. I love working with the massage team. I love developing them on a high level. So when I was talking about earlier, like the whole managing is good, but I love that high level stuff, like working with the teams on higher level. Strategies too. Strategies. I love that. I love strategizing with our teams and our leaders, but I also love working on the actual trades, like the trainers and the therapists, because I love that part of it too. That he's, all, like the protocol. I love that, and make sure are we doing that? How many minutes are we, I love all that. Like, so we've clear delineations and roles.
How do you keep the marriage separate from the business?
We have always been therapists, and we've always worked in the same facilities. We met, and we just, from that facility, we moved to another. It's almost like we've only known working together, now that I'm thinking about it. I know, right? So it's normal in our house for us to be like, and because we both see the same clients, and like in our other jobs, for as far as confidentiality goes, we would just be talking to each other about clients that we would see. So that has always been normal for us to have conversation outside of work at home, but we keep it out of the bedroom.
Okay.
100%. Even if it's good stuff. Like we've discovered, we're like, okay, whoa, that's good stuff, but that doesn't happen here. And we really try to not talk too much about it around the kids, but that part has to happen, because a lot of times they're floating around at 3:00 and I'm still having calls and I'm still doing stuff. And so and especially if we have to make a decision ASAP, like if we have the GSD something, we're like, we've got to talk about this right now, then we'll call each other because we're split up. So we'll be like, all right, good, we'll do that. Cool. And then we just divide and conquer and tackle. So good question. It's not new for us.
Yeah.
So I think we're kind of used to navigating dinner table conversation too. I love to cook. Everyone sit down. That's what we do. Hey, tell me the best thing about your day. Is not always work. So that's good. He's super like laid back and super nobody's going to die and there's no fire. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter the emergency. Guy's never stressed.
Yeah.
I'm always stressed. I'm like, what to do that now? We're gonna fix that now. Blah, 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 blah. He's like, no, we don't. Everything's good. And so then he always like calms me down. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Everything's
This
fine.
reminds me, because you're Italian.
100%.
And so I'm Italian, Spanish, and Filipino.
Yep.
And your husband's Filipino.
Yes.
I feel like the Filipino side is just like chill, zen. The Italian side is like we got veins popping out of our neck. It's like just, yeah, we're like intense.
Yes.
So like both sides in me. I'm like, who am I?
Oh, I bet. Oh, but do you sometimes have that Zen side?
Oh, yes. I very much have a zen side. Like everything's fine. It's chill. We have our dog Zed, and his name is Zed, but he has this version of him that we call Zen Zed, because he's just like chill, laid back. His eyes are half closed. He's like so cool. And then his other personality is, we call him Zeddy Boy, because he's just like that playful fun, the fun dog. And then he has this other side that we call Zethro. And Zethro is like Tasmanian devil. We don't know where this thing comes from. We're like, what is possessing you right now? And so we joke in our house that I have all three and everyone has all three in them. We have like a Zen, a Zethro, and a Zeddy Boy. And our favorite is like Zen and Zeddy Boy. And Zethro is like entertaining, but we can only like handle it in doses.
2 minutes.
Yeah, like 2 minutes. But I feel like same with me, like when I get to like that Italian, like freak out, like that type of energy, I'm like, I'm being Zethro right now. Like this, like I rarely say this to people who aren't me, but you've got to calm down, like talking to myself.
Yeah, totally. I talk to myself too. I was about to ask you, how do you pull yourself into Zen mode?
I have a lot of eyes closed practices, which I think you do too. So I think prayer, meditation.
Yeah.
I have this reset breath work that I do, which is inhaling 2 times, holding, and then an open exhale. And I do that like 5-6 rounds, and it takes 60 seconds. And that like just resets my nervous system. I think it's natural to get into situations, especially when you're building businesses, that just feel overwhelming. And I don't know what to do. Everyone's looking at me to know what to do to solve this. And I don't have the answer. And what I've been better about, and I've continued to work on, is resetting my nervous system. And then being honest with my team. I don't know, guys, that this is going to work or not. What do you think? This is what direction I think we should go and what we should do. But I'm open to feedback and it being collaborative. And then at the end of the day, it's my decision. And then I have to live with the consequences of it, good or bad. And if good, the team gets all the credit. If bad, I take all the blame. Like that is the journey. And sometimes they're hard pills to swallow. And sometimes you want to crawl in a hole and wish that you weren't encountering this particular thing. But community has been important for me too. Like not one person that you can call to be like, I need a thought partner right now, because the narrative in my head, the story I'm telling myself is not productive, and I need to get outside perspective. So that has helped ground me more as well. Yeah, I'm curious, because I think that, I think there's a world where everyone's feeling a little bit more lonely. Even though we have social media, people feel more disconnected and fragmented and unsure how to be vulnerable because it doesn't feel safe. So I have found that if I lead with it, people will reciprocate. But if I don't lead with it, they don't. What has your journey with vulnerability been inside of your business?
That is a good point. I was going to ask you, going back to your community. Did you find that you found that community in EO, or was it primarily outside of EO?
I have both. So given that I come from, running the Real Estate Guys radio show and 20 years of doing that with Rich Dad Advisors and just kind of prominent people in certain spaces, I had a lot of vulnerable communities, but weren't local in Austin. So it was more fragmented, although everyone's moving here now. And then when I joined EO, my forum, I got so lucky with my forum. And it is so vulnerable, so raw. And so that has been really healing. And then I have one friend that I hired her at our first business maybe 23 years ago. And she has now become one of my dearest friends. And she's always on speed dial. And she's not a business owner. She's like the opposite of anyone that you would think would be somebody I would confide in, like more of a hippie type person, but all of her clients are entrepreneurs. So she has this knack, and she's a massage therapist and life coach. So she has this very soothing energy that reminds you that you're not your business and you're not your challenges, you're not your problems. And she helps get me into the observer seat pretty quickly. And when I'm in the observer seat, it's easier to solve the problems. So I would say I call her a lot when I hit crossroads. She also has worked with me in business. So she has seen my different personality types when things go right or wrong. She also knows my family really well. So she knows like internal family systems, and she can see different patterns that maybe aren't obvious. And so she helps remind me of things that I forget. I tend to minimize. I'm like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Let's just keep going. Like I'm a perpetual optimist and I just keep moving forward. And sometimes she's like, well, it's obvious that you're doing this because of blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I forgot I even did that. Like I wouldn't even think of it. So I think it's been different people over the years. And I think I go through evolution. So you have different phases, but I have one that has been constant for several years, decades.
That is, now you're reminding me of a person I have too. She's a spiritual healer, and that's how she came through. To your point, and that you would never think, but man, when you have that special person that connects with you and that knows you and quickly figures and knows you out, knows your family dynamics, can pull you out and say you are not your business, and boy, you sure are acting like you are.
Yes,
but you're not. Yeah, to pull out. And oh, that is interesting. Yes, same. And what a beautiful journey that and I'll answer your question in a minute, that I continue to think and say, no way would I've known half the things about myself had I not put myself in this super uncomfortable position in owning. Oh man, I imagine I would just go through life not really knowing. And there's no depth to that, right? And I agree with you. I have finally just recently found an amazing forum. So great. So what I was going to say, back to bring the vulnerability in, I have a question actually. I would love an experience share on this. I struggle with this because I have brought, or maybe I'm doing it the wrong way. I have brought vulnerability in, or maybe it's a combination of an empathy and a vulnerability into maybe a teammate who's turning to me, and maybe that's on the lower end of the org chart. And so I think maybe I did it wrong, and everything's fine, but I almost feel like, how much should they know, right? I'm their leader. Do you know? So I'm wondering an experience here around that. Back to your question about what vulnerability have you brought to your team? I feel like it's measured, and I almost feel like my intuition is telling me it should be somewhat measured. Right? They also want to see that strong front, like everything's fine, everything's great, this is awesome. Right? So how much do you go there?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm the expert on this by any means. I think sometimes I've done it really right, and sometimes I've overshared or undershared.
I feel like that too.
Yeah. I mean, as a female, I think I tend to overshare more than undershare because we were joking the other day, like there's like a universal female code that it's form confidential. If you walk in, if you're talking to someone in the bathroom, it's like, they're female and they're going to keep your secret. That's just
Yep.
like females do.
Yep.
And I think maybe a mindset that I've had is my team is not entrepreneurs. And the psychological burden of entrepreneurship isn't for them to carry. So, like, sometimes telling them things that are the psychological burden, I try to shield them from that.
I thank you. Yeah.
Because it's sometimes too much.
Yeah.
And even sometimes when I'm over visionary, like when I cast out too far beyond a 90-day period, it overwhelms them. So I tend to keep things more short time horizons, push projects, vulnerabilities in a narrow space or time box it, because I think it's easier for them to GSD in and handle the load of information in a shorter time horizon. And then, some of the maybe financial things or strategic partner things or plot twists that are happening that they really aren't going to be able to contribute to, it would be a burden for me to share because there's nothing of value that they would be reciprocating. So I try not to bring them into those things, but I may ask them questions, operational questions, culture questions, workflow questions that could contribute to me solutioning it, but not oversharing. And does that make sense? Kind of?
It does, and that's a great experience, Sharon. Because you're right. I wonder, like that's almost a psychological way to approach getting to maybe an end result that you need.
Yes.
Do you have anybody on your team that's responsible for top line revenue? Like if their KPI is top line revenue?
Yes.
Got it. So that person, I'm curious how you maybe, I don't know, strategically.
Well, it's product specific. So I'll have certain team members that are responsible for certain product revenue. So top line for the product vertical.
Got it.
So they're not necessarily responsible for the entire thing, but their specific product. And so for those, they're going to need some visibility into the P&L for that product, but not the whole company. I've done it that way. I don't know if it's the right way.
Got it. And so then with that particular person, how do you motivate and drive with them to, or do you still do that 90-day bite-sized snapshot? You pull in some other levers of how about this?
Yeah, I mean, if I had a CRO, I probably would do it differently. But for the team that I have for the specific products, it's short-term motivations because we do date-specific things. So if it's date-driven, and so like I have a 3-day coming up, and so we're pushing for something specific, and that comes and it goes, and there's going to be upsell after it, and people can choose to continue on our pipeline. That whole funnel, this one person is responsible for. And her compensation is tied to the success of that funnel.
Yeah.
And that was a shift that I think I did recently, that is getting comp plans right.
Yeah, getting comp plans.
Oh my gosh, that's like that defines behavior.
That defines behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also found that, because I've not been listening to my intuition with these last two managers, that I'm not relying on the avatar as well. I was listening to a webinar yesterday. It was a live webinar on certain avatars for certain positions, and you can have this great comp plan, but if you don't have, there was this one entrepreneur, she called it the wall of medals. If you don't have a person that's this avatar that has a wall of medals that's motivated by this type of compensation, you can have that comp plan all day long
Right.
and not. So I agree with the comp plan, but man, just sticking to your intuition and the avatar
Yeah.
that you need for certain positions.
Yeah.
They
That's
have to have that competitive,
right.
like, motivation.
Do you guys do any personality testing
I
in
was
your
going to ask you, the one that we do is DISC. Do you recommend Enneagram or another one?
We use DISC also, but I've taken all of them. I've taken Culture Index, I've taken Enneagram, Colby, Myers-Briggs.
Which one do you like? It's just funny that we're talking about this. Which one do you like for a role that has to be performance driven, revenue, goal, comp plan attached to a bonus structure, etc., commissions?
Yeah, I think that there's six one way, half a dozen the other. So I think that my experience has been, is this the one you understand? Like if you, we use DISC and I understand DISC. I've been around using DISC for the last 20 years. So I deeply understand. I can look at a profile and pretty much know quickly what it's going to be. Plus it gives you your motivator. So when you get the DISC plus, it'll show you on the second graph, like if this person is economically motivated. And if they are economically motivated at a high level, it doesn't mean that they just want money, but they want to win. And so somebody who wants to win, if you can give them a clear outcome that is tied to a strong comp plan, they're going to knock it out of the park, especially if you don't tie one hand behind their back. They're just going to go.
Right. Are those high Ds for you?
They just have to have a high economic, because if they are a low D but a high S and I put pressure on them, they're going to act like a D.
Oh.
So it's just like, it's almost like you're playing with environment with profiles.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That is good feedback. I like that. Interesting. So it doesn't necessarily have to be high D. It could be, it's just that whole, there must be a line I'm missing.
Yeah. Maybe let's offline and maybe I'll show it to you and see what they're working on. But and for sake of time, I have a couple of rapid fire questions.
Okay. I can talk to you all day.
I know. We're going to have to go do a boat day or something with the kids because I missed it.
Did we even accomplish any of the goals you had set out?
Yes, having a fabulous conversation with you. Check.
Okay,
check.
awesome.
We did
check.
So how would you define success?
That's a good question. Somebody's recently asked me that. I globally, overarchingly, happy, my family being happy, my team being happy. I know that's ridiculous, but just happy family, like that makes me so happy when they're happy and they're healthy. Same thing with my team. They're happy and they're healthy.
Joy. It makes everything. People are more productive when they're happy.
Yeah, happy, just happy, right? Just finding that happy family and happy team. Happy members, right? Everyone's happy when everyone's happy.
Yeah.
The team's happy, the members are happy.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing, and that not bringing the stress back. So just the happiness of the family too.
Yeah. Which all starts with you. So you're happy, your marriage is happy, your family is happy, your team is happy, your customers are happy.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And you're doing it.
Yeah. Thank you. Trying hard.
What's your favorite book and why?
Oh, I love Brene Brown. Daring Greatly. Yeah, it is just, I have to refer back to that book. And I love books, but she's just cool. She just empowers you. You read that book, you're like, I got this. I'm gonna Brene Brown this. I call it, I'm gonna Brene Brown this.
Yes. I love that. When we were talking and we were talking about vulnerability, I was going to mention Brene Brown with that TED Talk because I feel like she changed the world with that one message.
Yeah, she did. She did. She's so inspirational for me.
What project are you most excited about right now?
Honestly, it's a little bit of a secret.
Okay. Don't tell.
I was approached recently. You'll find out before I will.
Okay.
I was a longtime friend, and anyway, he's like, I going to say this, and I think I've been wanting to say this to you, but I think you need to, be a coach. So I actually recently read
Oh,
Coach Builder by Danny Miller. What's his name?
okay.
Donald Miller. Donald Miller.
Oh, yes.
Is it
Building a
Donald
story. He wrote Building a Story Brand.
Yes.
Yes, love him.
And I was like, I think I can do this. I have such a passion for teaching.
Yes.
And I'm like, you know what? That could be. So I don't know if that's going to be a project or a tangent. I'm still trying to figure that out. I know these are rapid fire. I said that too long.
No, it's good. Well, those were the three, and I love that you coaching, because I could see you doing really well at that.
Thank
and
you.
you could help more people, which is answering a question that you had in your head. Like, because you could do group coaching.
You can do masterminds. You can do small group. You could do one-on-ones.
Yeah.
And then we can even start with my Genesis story, how this all started. Right. And all the struggles and pain points, and throw the towel in, and here's what we do, and here's what I did, or here's an experience share. And I feel like being a coach also really forces you to continue learning and growing, because you want to be better to help your people.
Yes. And we're actually in the process of starting a membership mastermind as well. So we might be on parallel journeys.
Wow.
It'd be fun to chat about.
That is so fun. We should chat about this.
We will. And then, okay, so my last question is, where can people find you if they want to connect?
Yeah, they have to come to Generator Lab at Seahome in Austin, Texas. We're in the Seahome district, downtown near the Whole Foods, 5th and Lamar. And generatorathletelab.com is our website. My email is drjess@generatorathletelab.com.
Awesome. I don't know why anybody would not want to reach out and connect with you and at least come and feel what it feels like to have legal drugs.
It's so good.
It's so good.
So good.
I know. I need to come back. Well, it was so lovely having you on. I just adore you, and you're such a bright light for entrepreneurs, because it is a journey, and you're doing it well, and you're doing it with joy.
Thank you. I'm trying super hard. I'm trying. I do. That's one of my affirmations, to do what I do with joy. Yeah, it is. Thank you for saying that. I'm trying. Effort.
Yes. Well, everyone listening, I hope that you benefited from this and it brought you so much joy. And as you're building your businesses, I hope that you learn to stay rooted while you get shit done.
Yes, I love that. Amen.
Thanks,
Staci. Thank you. You're the best.